waking up early to invest in yourself. It doesn't need to be a 2-3 hour marathon. Some people that might work best, but even 15 minutes, just waking up early, investing in yourself, and figuring out what that morning needs to look like for you. And it might take a little bit of experimentation. I've changed my morning routine probably, I don't know, 5 times in the last few years. I'm dialed into the one I've been using for about a year now, but find what works best for you. But the idea is wake up early, invest in yourself, and what you might find is that it has a trickle down effect on the rest of your day.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that'll reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. We want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we talk with Ryan Cote about his journey of building a successful marketing agency with his family and creating multiple streams of revenue. He shares how he got into entrepreneurship, his passion for personal development, and the inspiration behind his passion project, The Morning Upgrade. Ryan also discusses his journey of experimenting with different strategies, upgrading his skills, and building relationships with his audience through email newsletters and personalized content. Join us for an insightful conversation on how to build a successful business and pursue your passion project. Ryan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a good day so far. I'm excited to talk to you and ready to do this.
Awesome. So what I like to start with is get to know a little about you, where you got started, and how you got to be where you are today. You've been living in New Jersey for a few. You're a real estate investor. You've got a roofing company, a marketing agency. You got a lot of stuff going on. So how'd you get started? What was the first thing?
So the Valentine, the marketing agency, has been in the family for 56 years. I didn't start into the business right away. I went to college and had a couple of jobs before I went into the business.
Yeah.
But before that, I was always going back to maybe college. I'm trying to think, was it high school? High school, I started dabbling with making things, like I was going to be an inventor or something like that. I remember trying to make my own glue. I don't know why, and it makes me sound weird, but I remember trying to make my own glue and it didn't work. But then in college, I started selling stuff like eBay, e-commerce sites, got very much into affiliate marketing. I still do a little bit of affiliate marketing, actually. And so it's a revenue stream for one of my businesses, Morning Upgrade, but I was really big into it at one point, e-commerce. And so I was always just chipping away at different businesses, always had a interest in side hustles and just creating these pockets of revenue and just experimenting. I just gravitated towards it for some reason. And then I went to the family business and been there for 20 years now. 20 years. And then we started my family and we started the roofing business. And when I say my brother Scott really started it. I help a little bit with some things, but really it's him and my cousin running it. And that's a year old. And so we're excited about that. And then in April of 2020, that's when I started Morning Upgrade. That's my passion project. I do it on the side. I got a podcast, a book. That's where the affiliate stuff comes in. Right now, I'm not concerned about making money with it. It pays for itself, but I'm more about it's all new to me trying to build something like this. And so I'm just really focused on the content, the podcast, promoting the book, just seeing where it goes. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm having fun with it.
Oh, that's really cool. I like when you said you got into marketing, you got into inventing things and wanted to be an inventor, that goes to show that you probably had a lot of influence around you, that people were creating stuff, or you got curious to solving your own problems, because that's where the invention gene comes from. Okay, I'm trying to solve a problem. I'm facing this, and how can this be better?
Yeah, I think because my dad, he was always working. So I saw that he was working 100 hours a week at one point at Valentine, trying to really grow it beyond
Yeah.
what my grandfather and his brother did. And so I was around that, and my uncle too. So I was around that creative energy, I guess you could say. Yeah, I don't know where the glue thing came. It's funny if you asked me what I did last week, I would say I do not know, but I can literally visualize mixing different things together to see if I can make it like sticky. I wish I can go back to time and be like, what are you doing right now?
That is too funny. Trying to make glue. But did that go anywhere, or it was just a distance memory?
No, it didn't go anywhere. I just remember trying to create things. Like I even at one point eBay, when it was like the Wild West, I was selling like vitamin pills on there.
Yeah.
I remember, oh, here's a story for you. My wife likes to make fun of me for this. I remember in college, because I've always been into vitamins. I worked at JNC at one point,
Hmm.
and at one point I was like borderline obsessed. I still take vitamins, take a brand by On It, but I remember being in the cafeteria looking at the food and be like, oh, and because I was really into like, nutrition back then, like really hardcore. And I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
selling vitamins for like an MLM kind of thing. And I remember posting flyers going into the cafeteria saying, this food's not good for you. You need to supplement your diet with these vitamins. Fully believing it. And then they called me into the dean's office and said, you can't do that. So I was like, all right, I won't.
That's really funny for sure. But take us to the path of what caused you to create the Morning Upgrade. You said you founded it about a year ago. You've got a book, you've got a podcast. Now,
Yeah.
you've done a lot of soul searching. You've done a lot of different things, going to college, and okay, where am I really mindset? Where does my mind really light up? And creating the Morning Upgrade looks like it's something that raising awareness of morning routines. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. And I would say I'm still trying to find, like, I'm always exploring. And now that I have kids, that creates a whole nother layer of, am I a good father? What are they going to be like as adults? I feel like this is
Yeah.
never going to end. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm a stronger person now than I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or going back. I'm always trying to get better, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a journey that never ends for sure. Morning Upgrade, I've always been into personal development and entrepreneurship and personal growth and all that kind of self-help
Yeah.
type stuff. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a reason that I don't know about, but it's just something I gravitate towards, even going back to the books I used to read when I was 25,
Yeah.
20, 25, how to win friends and influence people, thinking big, what's the Napoleon Hill book? Geez, I'm forgetting it. Think and Grow
Yeah.
Rich.
It's Thinking Grow
But
Rich.
yeah. So I've always been into that. And like in April of 2020, when I was stuck at home like a caged animal, I just had more time to think. And I was like, man, I want to create something that has impact and has value and something I can be proud of and something that like is like my way to create something that actually helps people and turn it into a business. It's not, I want it to eventually generate a lot of revenue, but
Of course.
I just had the idea. Like I was writing about personal development before that on LinkedIn. I was like, I should try to create a brand out of this. And the morning routine is my pillar habit, but it's more than that. If you look at the site and listen to the podcast, it's really about business, personal growth, and morning routine. And so I just started with a free blog. And then I'm always thinking, what can I do to up level this? I redesigned the site. I added a podcast, and then I
Yeah.
thought of different types of content to add to the site, wrote the book, just always trying to think of ways to grow it. It's really fun.
No, that's really fascinating because it's in the journey, right? It's in the building that you really grow. It's not the destination. Everybody thinks, oh, I want to win that car. I want to drive that car, but it's how you get to that car or how
Yeah.
you get to that 1,000 downloads or 1,000 episodes. We're almost about to hit 500 episodes on this podcast. So I'm pretty excited on
That's
how it
amazing.
even happened.
That's amazing. That's a lot. Speaking from I'm on episode 116. So man,
Yeah.
it's very impressive.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. It's the journey, right, that develops you, that makes you the person who you become. And you're constantly seeking that upgrade. Okay, what's the next upgrade can I get to? Can I start adding this video format and post it on YouTube eventually? But I've been just posting the audio and just been focusing on that because I know that this is something that I've grown to be good at. I think I
I'll
was
give you an
listening.
example.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was
No,
going to
go
say,
for
I'll
it.
give you an example too, like what you're saying about always looking. I think you have to have your antenna up. This is just based on my perspective. You have to have your antenna up on ways you can do things better. And I just did this with Morning Upgrade. And I'm always doing it at Valentine because like
Yeah.
there's so many moving parts. I'm like, but with Morning Upgrade, I was sending out. I really wasn't focusing on collecting emails. I'm like, that's silly. I really need to because that could be the future of it.
Yeah.
And two things. I was sending out like more of a generic email newsletter that my team was creating. Section one is this, section two. It was
Yeah.
very blah, very boring. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I need to be writing these emails more conversational, more from the
Mhm.
heart, and develop a relationship with the email subscribers. And so I started doing that about 6 weeks ago, where every week, actually today I'm going to do it. It's on my to-do list. It's on my
Mhm.
to-do list right here,
Yeah.
is to create tomorrow's email. And so I'll write it out, the three things I want to share, and it's me writing it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And because I'm doing that, now I want to add more email subscribers. And if you look at the site, you'll see there's an opt-in for a free eight-page report. And so I'm just experimenting with different ways to get new email subscribers because I
Yeah.
identified that was a weakness in the business. And so I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah. With emails, right? You have direct access to market and building the rapport with the customers or with the clients or with the listeners or with the email people, because there are actual other human beings on the other side. And I'm subscribed to my good friend Jonathan Stark. He sends out daily emails, and
Wow.
there might be a paragraph, there might be 3 sentences, but he's delivering a message. He's talking about something that's going in his head, and any time of the day. And I look forward to those emails because I can reply at any time, like, Jonathan, that was really awesome. Thanks for sharing. And I've learned so much from him. It's been amazing.
That's how because when I was sending out the more templated version, I would never get replies. Literally, my mom would reply back, and that was the only person. And now that I've been sending more like personalized, I'm getting replies every time I send something. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's working
That's
now. So now I've got more fuel in the fire
yeah,
to keep going.
so true. And so one of the things that I was mentioning to my friend is, hey, I'm going to be recording episode 499 next week. And my 500th episode, I'm going to do a solo episode. And the last time I did solo episodes was probably 3-4 years ago. I haven't done a solo episode. And she's, oh my God, we want to hear you speak. We want to hear what you have to say. And if you had, no matter how many number of solo episodes you're going to put out, I am going to listen to all of them. And it like warmed me up and sending all these feelings down my spine. I'm like, wow, there's something that I've developed. There's a relationship that you have with people when you create that personalized email, that personalized video for YouTube, or that personalized where you put all your personality into this podcast. Now, I don't know how Morning Upgrade podcast is. Is it something that you do solo or is it interview based?
It's interview based. I did do a solo for my 100th episode, and that
Mm-hmm.
was very different because I'm used to the conversation bouncing back and forth as opposed to
Yeah.
me going on for my episode's only 15-20 minutes. But
Yeah.
I was like, I had it all mapped out. I have two screens here. This is my desk for work, and I had like the Google Doc open, and so I was like looking at my notes. It ended up being easier than I thought, probably because I
Yeah.
prepped for it like a crazy person, but it was fun. I do an interview style though, because for me it's about I want to learn from others and
Yeah.
from their perspective, hear about their morning routines, hear about their business. And it's just fun building the connection and the relationships. I've met a lot of neat people doing it.
No, 100%. I've learned so much, and podcasting interview has enabled me to become the storyteller that I wasn't, right? You start with asking questions, you start with listening to their journey. And then eventually I started to see the pattern. I started to see how the cogs work and all of it. And it's made me all the better.
Question for you. So I have kids and they're in like a billion sports. And I find myself, I don't know if this is the case with you, but after doing 100 it's really been like 125 because I have a queue.
Yeah.
I find myself when I'm at sporting events, like my daughter's soccer game or whatever, softball, excuse me, I go into like podcast mode where I'm asking people all these questions, not drilling them, but just
Yeah.
asking them a lot of questions. I have to
Yeah.
say, hey, you're on a guest on your podcast. Did you
Yeah.
find that happening for you?
I do find that happening for me because it makes me a little more curious and
Yeah.
be more welcoming, because when you're curious and ask other people a question, it's not that they don't feel that they're overparting the conversation, but they actually feel that we as questioners are more interesting people.
Yeah, I agree. And everyone
Right.
wants to feel like that their opinion matters and that like they're
Yeah.
interesting and all that. So when
Yeah.
you put focus on them, ask them questions, assuming they're like a nice person, it usually goes well.
No, absolutely. And I think that in itself gives you an example of what people are looking for who wants to buy your product, who wants to buy your service. They want us to be interested in them
Yeah.
and think from their perspective what it is that we can bring for them.
That's like the whole Dale Carnegie. What was he saying? I think it's from that book. If you want to make friends, whatever, build relationships, don't
Yeah.
try to be interesting, just be interested in them.
Yes. That's right.
Authentically, of course.
Authentically, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I like the back and forth that we're having, because really podcasting and is more of a conversation, and it's like somebody's just listening into this conversation that Ryan and Janae are having, and the learned experiences that we've had doing the podcasting and building businesses and being entrepreneurs and being parents and applying the learnings from one area to the other area of our lives.
Yeah, it's for me, there's a lot of crossover. If I'm not doing well at home for whatever reason, it carries over to work. And so I try to like keep everything in check. Not that things are ever perfect. There's always challenges to get through, but I do find
Yeah.
it's all interweaved. I'm even trying to like, I know like the morning upgrade and Valentine, it's two different businesses, but I'm really trying to interweave the two, honestly.
Yeah.
Having clients on my podcast, sending them my book, just mailing it to them, asking them questions. Like if I'm talking to them, I'll naturally go into podcast mode, just ask them about just not what's your morning routine look like, but
Right.
sometimes depending on who the person is, I might.
Yeah.
So I really do try to interweave it. It's just it's becoming my thing. It's just where my interests lie.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So we've talked about your journey, how you got started with the podcast, what inspired you to create the morning upgrade, what keeps you coming back to create these more episodes, the email. I think that's one of the biggest highlights for myself, because that's the place that I struggle in. I still struggle sending emails out. And anytime I do, I try to make it as personalized as possible. But it's either promoting my friend's podcast or either promoting a program that they're putting together, but never from the perspective of, hey, this is what I'm thinking and this is what I'm doing, and what do you guys think? And I haven't done that yet, but I think that's the next step for me.
What I did, if this is helpful, I need to create like, I can't just have it be like an open canvas and be like, I need to have some
Sure.
sort of framework. And so what I do is my emails are short and sweet. And I just have 3 things each week that I want to share. And I only do once a week. So it's not that bad. It takes me maybe an hour to write the email. And so I always have it like an introduction, like what did I do this week? And then I go into the 3 things that I want to share with them that are related to business or personal development. This week I have a note. I watched a scary movie. It's actually disturbing, the horror movie. It's called Hereditary. But because it was Halloween, I'm going to share that. It's not really related to what I normally would, but because it's Halloween, I will. And so I have 3 things that I want to share. And so as I'm going through the week, when I think of something, I email it to myself to kick back to me on Wednesday, because when I write the emails, and so I know I only have to write 3 things related to business or morning routines or personal development or whatever. And so it's not that big of a lift, because it's just 3 things, and I'm working on it during the week. And it's just a matter of sitting down, writing it, and then testing it, and then scheduling it for the next day.
I like that. I think I'm gonna have to take that tip and apply it in my own world. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we get back, Ryan's gonna share 3 hacks to take away. So we'll be right back. Room. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that'll reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Hey guys, welcome back. We've been talking with Ryan Cote. He's a podcaster just like myself, and we've been having some really cool conversations about how he got started and what keeps us coming back and keep going. Ryan's got Ryan's got 3 hacks to share. We were talking in the green mode. So Ryan, take it away.
I was like, oh, 5. I got to think of 2 more. So yeah, so the hacks, we've been talking about morning routine. So I got to mention that. It's my pillar habit. If you've read Miracle Morning, that's what started me on the path. But since then, I've developed my own. Having interviewed 116 or so guests on my podcast. The morning routine is a very personalized experience. What works for me might not work for you. There is a lot of overlap, like a lot of my guests, gratitude practice, journaling, exercise. There's a lot of overlap, but the idea is waking up early to invest in yourself. It doesn't need to be a 2-3 hour marathon. Some people that might work best, but even 15 minutes, just waking up early, investing in yourself and figuring out what that morning needs to look like for you. And it might take a little bit of experimentation. I've changed my morning routine probably, 5 times in the last few years. I'm dialed into the one I've been using for about a year now, but find what works best for you. But the idea is wake up early, invest in yourself. And what you might find is that it has a trickle down effect on the rest of your day. Through my experience, I found that I exercise more when I do my morning routine. I make better decisions, not perfect decisions, but better decisions. And I just look for different areas. Okay, if I'm going to do the morning routine, maybe I should do other stuff too, like the books I read and things like that. So it does have a compound effect, as Darren Hardy says. That's number 1. Number 2 is masterminds. I'm a big fan of masterminds. I've been in one for about 4 years. It's not my mastermind, I'm just part of it. And the idea is it really has, besides the morning routine, it's probably like my second biggest personal development strategy in terms of what I've seen from my own personal growth. And every week I get together with 10 guys. Mine happens to be a guys only mastermind. Yeah. It's just the way it's structured. And every week we get together and we talk about wins and challenges and things we're going through, things we need help with. And everyone tries to pour into each other, support each other, hold each other accountable. We take turns leading the meeting, which was tough for me in the beginning because I was like, how do I keep this thing going for an hour? Yeah. So that was pretty challenging. But the idea is just to get together with like-minded people that have similar goals, come with a full cup, and you'll get stuff back too, and just keep with it. And I find that it's been really life-changing for me. I actually just got back 2 weeks ago from, we do like in person twice a year. And so I got to meet some of the guys for the first time. It's hilarious when you're doing like Zoom like this for weeks and weeks and you meet them in person. They're like, you're a lot shorter than I thought you'd be. I'm only 5'7". Thank you. Yeah. Bring up. So that's number 2.
I love it.
Do you have a mastermind? Are you in one?
I do. I'm actually in 4 different masterminds.
Oh, wow. 4.
Yeah, we could talk about it a little later. What's the 3rd hack?
Third hack is, this is something new for me, but I'm like really into it. I want to share it. I read a study. I wrote a blog post about it too, but just I find myself, I like to walk. I do other exercise too, but I like to walk because I like being outside. I like listening to things as I walk. And it's not like high impact, so it's not hard to do, but you're still moving. And I read a study, and what really cemented it for me was I read a study that if people that walk at least 7,000 steps a day, I can't remember where the study was, but they analyzed people over many years and walked over 7,000 steps. They lived longer. So sounds good to me. And 7,000 steps, it's about an hour of walking. So you have to be intentional about when you're going to walk. But I find that it's become like my quiet time. Like, yes, I'm getting some exercise in. I'm hitting that magic number of 7,000. I track it in Google Fit on my phone. So I don't have to think about it. It just tracks. Yeah. And what you track improves. And then I find that it's time when I use that time to take business calls or listen to Audible or listen to a podcast. And so not only am I walking, getting exercise, but I'm also consuming content. So it's been like a really nice time to myself with some added benefits.
Man, I love that. I love walking too and going out there. And most of the time, it's mostly when I'm working the yard or walking up to the bus stop to drop my kid off and walk. I'm not walking a whole lot, but I think I'm going to integrate that. And the study was published by the Lancet Medical Journal, found that men and women aged 60 and over who take around 1,000 steps a day slash their mortality risk by as much as 50%.
I'm being proactive. I'm only 43, so I'm being proactive.
Yeah,
here.
walking is more also beneficial for younger people. Those who walked at least 8,000 steps saw a similar outcome.
Yeah,
So you're
I'm
already
usually
killing it.
Yeah, I'm like yesterday. I walked 10,000, but it was only hit 7,000. I'm good.
Yeah.
But on Halloween, which was just, I don't know when this will be released, but Halloween, as we're recording, was 2 days ago, and I walked 16,000 steps in that day. That was like a lot of walking with the kids.
I'm sure the kids got a lot of candy that you
then
had to hide at the end of it. I liked what Jimmy Fallon would do, and they would tell their kids, "Oh, we ate all your candy." Oh, was it Jimmy Kimmel? I think it was Kimmel.
I think you're right. It was one of the Jimmys. Yeah, I know. I saw that one. That's funny.
I think it's Kimmel because that's the kind of thing Kimmel does.
So I let myself cheat with the candy for a couple of days on Halloween, but for a while the kids would go to sleep and I would just be like, oh, there's the knapsack of all the candy. And then they started to realize that the candy was getting lighter. So now they know I do it. So they try to protect it, but it's all right.
That's too funny. All right, sweet. Yeah, I'm in a few different mastermind. I'm part of Smart Passive Income, the pro group that put together by Pat Flynn. And I've been part of it for about some years, and they introduced masterminds in there where you can talk about a mastermind around email marketing or podcasting or different things. So I've been in at least 2 different masterminds for a good long time, and another 2 different masterminds that I'm part of through other entrepreneurship networks. So it's heaven sent, like you said. You learn so much more and you're kept accountable. It just helps you exponentially grow. The first place where I learned about it was Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about masterminds, and mastermind was the reason of success for Henry Ford, because if he wasn't part of that mastermind, he would not have been able to create the behemoth of company that he was able to by absorbing all the knowledge from others.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot Napoleon Hill. And that book was like from the 30s, right?
Yes.
Man, that's crazy. Think about that kind of knowledge being shared all the way back then.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. All right, we're going to jump into the 6th question that I would like to ask my guest. All right, number 1. Ready. Number 1, what is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
I started to get into it and then I stopped. Guitar. Like I was listening to electric guitar. I was listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan yesterday when I was going for a hike with my daughter and on the way to the park. And I was like, man, if I could play like this, I probably would never leave my room. I would just play and play.
Yeah, no, that's a fun hobby. I tried my hand at the guitar, but I couldn't get it right. So I was like, you know what? I'll just stick to singing. So I did the band like 20 years ago, and I played the bass a little for a couple of our jam sessions.
Yeah, but I did buy that your fingers get all guitar strings. Oof.
They do, and then over time, I think you build up that skin.
Yeah.
Because but you gotta keep on doing it. I bought a acoustic guitar a couple of months ago, so I've got one sitting back there, and I haven't played much with it, but I know that I can get to it anytime I want.
Yeah. It's a great thing. It's a hobby. You can pick it up really anytime until your hands get like your soul. You can't do that, but
exactly.
Maybe one day.
One day. Next up, what did you want to be when you were a child?
It's funny, like seeing my dad work a lot. I I guess I started thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, but I was really obsessed with baseball. So I thought maybe I played it and stuff like that. And so the childhood, I want to be a cowboy or an astronaut. I was at baseball. I was a big fan of Ricky Henderson, watching him steal base after base. That was kind of like a hero of mine for some reason.
Nice.
I would say baseball player.
I like it. Next up, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
Meet the Parents. I find I relate to Ben Stiller. I'm like a little bit socially awkward. I get myself in situations where it's like, what am I doing right now? And so I feel like that's Ben Stiller in that movie, Meet the Parents. I think I watched 3 times over 3 days. And I still, this day, if I watch it, it cracks me up. Like when he gives him like the bathing suit to go swimming, and I can go on and on about that movie.
It's too funny. All right, next up, what movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
That's easy. Ben Stiller. I would love to play that role. I think I would fit right in. No acting experience required.
Just
slide me right in.
Oh, that's too funny. Next up, who is your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero, I would have to say Thor. And I try to, he's so powerful. He's got the hammer. And I try to I'm trying to trigger, is that the right word? Or frame. My daughter plays softball and she's new to it. And it's her first year, but she's doing really well for being new. And I tell her she needs to change her mindset when she grabs that hammer, not a hammer, when she grabs that bat, she turns to Thor and that's her hammer. Yeah. She needs to go up there and just do her best. And so it's funny. I've just trying to create
inspire her. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You create that, the imagination in their mind, because that's what gives them the power to be the best batsman.
Yeah, exactly.
Our last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Sorry about that. That was the phone. I love Monopoly. We have real estate. I have a lot of memories of playing it with my family. I think it's a really fun, competitive game, and you can learn a lot from it too. Just managing the money and the real estate you're going to buy. So yeah, definitely has to be Monopoly.
I love it. One game that I would recommend that you check out is called Cash Flow by the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Cash Flow. It is really cool if you like buying real estate, and this literally teaches you or levels up your financial IQ. So you start in the rat race, and then once you're making $50K a month in passive income, then you're able to get out of the rat race and enter the fast track.
Oh, neat.
And it's really cool. I've been playing that game with my kids, and they're like, "Oh my God, Dad, is this how you feel on payday?" On a rat race, there's 3 paydays, and as you roll the dice, you either jump over or you land on a payday. And then based on how much your monthly cash flow is coming from your income minus your expenses, that's how much money the bank gives you. And then you're like, "Oh, this feels so good."
That's amazing. It's a board game, you said, not like a computer game?
It's a board game, yes, an actual board game that Robert Kiyosaki created, I think, years and years ago.
Neat. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, where can my superpreneurs find you?
2 places. We mentioned Ballantine and we mentioned Morning Upgrade, so we'll just send people there. So Ballantine is easy, ballantine.com. And then Morning Upgrade is also easy. That's morningupgrade.com. On the site, there's the newsletter opt-in I mentioned, the free report, there's the book, all the content, the podcast episodes, really everything's there. So, including links to the Ballantine and the roofing business too.
Awesome. I love it. Ryan, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom and your energy, and the hacks that you shared with the audience. I'll catch you in the next episode.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Great job. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.